had a wonderful childhood and a great upbringing. I have two parents who love me unconditionally and always will. My life started to go downhill when I entered middle school. I was constantly changing who I was as a person just to feel accepted and fit in, but I was making friends with the wrong people. In that dark phase of my life, I did not have a relationship with Christ. I did not know who God was, and I certainly did not understand his love for me. When I was 17 years old, I was a junior in high school, and I got pregnant. And the outcome of that pregnancy ended with an abortion. And that is a decision that I have to live with for the rest of my life. 6 years ago, I prayed with Pastor Mark, and I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior. And I will never forget the moment with tears pouring down my face when I asked God to forgive me for all the past mistakes that I have done. But I had let the enemy convince me for so long that God does not forgive abortions. I was a slave to my sin for 17 years. I didn't tell anybody. I never talked about it. I was drowning in shame and guilt and regret and the fear of judgment if anybody ever found out what I had done. In 2015, I had my first breakdown. I emailed New Spring Church and I asked to speak with one of the marriage counselors. And that day in her office, I sobbed, and she was the first person I had ever told my whole story to. The first question I asked her was, if I die today, will God still take me to heaven? Because I had believed the lie for so long that this was the unforgivable sin. And I just could not understand how God could so easily forgive me. How could he just wipe my slate clean after all that I had done? I slowly started the process of forgiving myself after that day, but Satan still had his hand over my mouth, and he was still feeding me the lies, because he knows that if you don't talk, then God can't use it. And when I finally got the courage to tell my husband and my closest friends, I have witnessed through them God's love and his grace when they sat beside me and listened to me without any judgment, hugged me and cried right along with me as the chains were finally being lifted. So many of us today are trying to live our lives with hidden regret and guilt from our past mistakes. But I am here to tell you that thousands of years ago, when Jesus went to the cross to die a criminal's death, he died with your sin and my sin inside of him. There is no sin that is too big for God's forgiveness, and there is absolutely nothing that you can do that would make God stop loving you. Accept his forgiveness. You may not understand it, and that's okay. Just believe that you have been forgiven and you are now set free.